Hello and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I'm going to demonstrate this water program that I created probably around 1988, and it's a special effect. It is designed to make it look like water is cascading over your screen, and you can see it running now. The screen is kind of moving back and forth to the right and to the left up to 8 pixels, and what this is doing is it's just using the horizontal scroll with an interrupt, and it's just working its magic here. This wasn't really an original idea of mine, but it was something that I got inspired to do. So I recreated the effect in my own way, using what I knew about machine language and how to code. It was a different kind of challenge as well because we're working with interrupts. And what you can see on the screen is I'm highlighting the timer bias, which is 4. I'll explain what this does later on. And there's actually another location in the machine language where that value of 4 is reset. So there it is. And then also we got the number 24. That just explains we've got 24 data fields. This is the data that's doing all the horizontal scrolling, and we change it on 24 different locations of the screen. We don't change it on every 25 lines, just the 24 lines. First 24 lines at any rate. So to help explain how we can manipulate the horizontal position, here is the poke statement for the horizontal position, poke 53270, and we're going to use the number 200 to 207. And watch closely as the screen slowly, incrementally moves to the right, 1 pixel at a time. The value here, the 200 to 207, is related to what text mode we're in. We're in just simple, straight text mode, not multicolor. Everything is normal. We've just offset by about 8 pixels to the right. And we're looking again at the code. The value is 200 to 207. They're set up in a wave pattern that's zigzagging back and right, to the right and left. So to get a better idea of what's going on here, we're going to have to go into the machine language monitor and disassemble the code. So we've placed everything up at location C000 or 49152. And what we're seeing initially is the interrupt setup. We suspend the interrupt, we program it to say start your interrupts from C025, and then we just add a few lines here to set some registers to their desired state. And when we're done with that, we clear the interrupt and let it go on its own. Okay, looking at the code, starting at C025, we first load the accumulator with the value of 32 hexadecimal. And this is going to be the value that we're going to be comparing against the raster line. But meanwhile, we're going to load a value from C063 for the X value, and then we will load into Y from the table, starting from whatever value is indexed from that C063. So then we compare the value. We're waiting for the raster to match our value, and until it is, we will continue a loop. And when it does match, then we will store the Y value into the horizontal scroll position, into scroll register, sorry. And then when we are done with that, we will add with carry 7 into the accumulator. And then we will decrement X, and until X gets to 0, we will branch back to C0 to A, where we will then reload the next value and repeat the loop. So remember, we have 24 values, so we are going to complete this loop 24 times, reading each value and storing it into the horizontal scroll, and then waiting for the raster beam to move another 7 lines. So this cycle that we're doing is something we can't do on every interrupt. Every interrupt is going to happen like 60 times a second. So that's why we have a value in C062. Right now it's with 4. And what this means is that we are going to count down from 4 to 0. And when it reaches 0, we will do the next loop, which is to rotate the values. If it's not at 0, then we will just end the interrupt right there. So assuming that our timer loop is completed, we can reset the value in the timer to 4. And that's what we're doing here. We load into the accumulator 4, store it into the timer in C062. And with that, we're ready to continue with the next part of the process. So for the rest of this, we are just taking those 24 values that we have of the wave data, and we are just going to rotate it. You can do this any number of different ways. This is how I managed to do it. You have to take one of your values, you have to push it onto the stack, then you have to manipulate your index and take one value, store it in another in the previous position, and then go back and then pull from the stack your first value and put it at the tail end. And so here's a brief look at the data table as it exists in the monitor. The timer is currently at 1. The 24 values in hex is 18. And all these C values are the wave data, the 200 to 207. That's what we're looking at right here. So you remember before I said that we can change the timer on this? Currently it's at 4, so every 4 screen refreshes, it'll do a rotation of the data. Let's change that from 4 to 8 and see what happens. Notice how the cycle is a lot slower now. It's every 8 refreshes that it's doing this update. Anyways, that's the water program. Thanks for watching. I hope this was beneficial.